makes you so awesome. Republican senators on the Armed Services Committee did their very best to help out Trump's pick for defense secretary, Fox Television's Pete Hegseth, during his confirmation hearing today. Even the chairman, Roger Wicker, played down the various allegations against him as just anonymous sources in liberal media. You know, they did everything but walk over and hug him, the Republicans.
Yes. Well, what is he? He's a Fox News host. He's not a decorated combat veteran of the Afghanistan War, the Iraq War, and Guantanamo Bay with 2 Bronze Stars, CIB, and beyond. Pay no attention to any of that. That's MSDNC, very bitter, very angry. Does she identify as a woman? Do they identify as? I'm not sure, because they reject science and genealogy. They're not doing well, these people. Well, good Wednesday to you, and welcome back. We remain at 888-630-9625. And a lot of moving parts today, a lot of things going on. I love this story, and CBS Fake News has the story with the headline, Harris, that's Kamala Harris, they wanted to make her president of the United States. She's a bitter, wretched little person. You know, when the inauguration's over, Joe Biden's going to get on a Marine helicopter and fly, presumably, to Joint Base Andrews, board one of the Air Force One planes that will take him home. And then he won't be president anymore. And, he won't be president when he leaves after Donald Trump is inaugurated again. But Kamala Harris, she's going to have to walk over to Union Station and grab an Amtrak somewhere because she doesn't have the privileges anymore. Know what I'm talking about? But here's the headline at CBS News. Harris declines to invite Vance for courtesy visit to vice president's residence before inauguration, which is custom and has been for decades, for generations. It's a basic courtesy. But these people are not liberals. They're radicals. They're extremists. They're leftists. They must have tattoos on their body that prove it, too, don't you think? Probably not a Jerusalem cross. Maybe the Muslim crescent, or maybe like a suicide vest tattooed on their back or something like that. When J.D. Vance, his wife Usha, his wife is named Usha, and their 3 young children move into the Naval Observatory residence on January 20th, that's this coming Monday, today is Wednesday, it will be their first time inside the White Queen Anne-style mansion. They always have to bring race into it, don't they? That has been home to vice presidents since the 1970s. Since the 1970s. That's right. The first vice president to live in there was Walter Mondale. Prior to that, vice presidents lived in their own homes. Didn't have an official residence with all kinds of security and stuff. Vice President Kamala Harris has not extended an invitation for a formal sit-down. They always use sit-down like it's a mafia meeting, you know. Sit-down or tour, multiple Democratic and Republican sources told CBS News. They have multiple sources, both on the Republican side and the Democrat side. And they're all anonymous because, you know, in November, Usha Vance, via intermediaries, reached out to staff for the home's current occupants. That's a heck of a way to put it. Staff for the home's current. So the vice president's office, hey, we're the incoming second family. It is custom that you tour the incoming vice president's family, regardless of their party, around the house before they move in. And the bitter, rancorous loser, very angry about losing. She's going to be governor of California. She'll wreck it the rest of the way. What's not wrecked when she takes over, she'll finish the job. She'll hold the baby underwater in the bassinet, and it'll be done. In November, Usha Vance, through independent intermediaries, reached out to staff the home's current occupants. Harris and second gentleman Doug Emhoff, codename Slugger, seeking details, including what they would need to child-proof the house, right? Ewan, Vivek, and Mirabelle Vance, they've got their kids are Ewan, E-W-A-N, Vivek, like Vivek Ramaswamy, right? And Mirabelle, very nice names. Mirabelle Vance are all under the age of 8. And it is an old rickety house. Interesting stuff. Now, the first vice president that could have lived there that was entitled to live there was Gerald Ford's vice president, who every child of 6 knows was Nelson Rockefeller. And Nelson Rockefeller, who was wealthy as a member of the Rockefeller family, he went to the house and said, "This place is a dump. I wouldn't live here if you paid me." And they said, "Well, we are paying you." And he said, "Well, I still wouldn't live there. How about that?" So Nelson Rockefeller never moved in, but he did, out of his own pocket, completely restore the home, classic old home. And it was the official residence of the Chief of Naval Operations, the CNO, for decades. It's on the grounds of the U.S. Naval Observatory, official timekeeper for the United States of America. They have a telescope and everything, but never mind that. So the Harris people, they just said, "Screw you! Don't you know who we are? We're Nazi, fascist, communist pigs. We're Schweinhund, Schweinhund." Just like Marty said, from Appleton, Wisconsin, beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin, where the people are still nice. The questions were initially rebuffed by a Harris political appointee, right? But there has since been communication between the Vance team and Navy aides who oversee the residence. Can you say oversee? Does it have a master bedroom and a master bathroom? Because that's offensive to Democrats. And then you have overseers. Come on. That reminds the Democrats of the old days when, Democrat plantations and trees and ropes, the Democrat history. Before Christmas, Navy officials provided an overview of the house to discuss the layout of the residence, logistics and practicalities of the move-in, and help answer any questions the Vances had. A person familiar with the call said, everybody's still anonymous, because, it's all a secret. Isn't that amazing? So Usha Vance and Doug Emhoff, he's the second gentleman, right? And he's famous for slugging that woman at the Cannes Film Festival, slapped her so hard she went spinning around in circles like a dreidel. Dreidel, dreidel, we made it out of clay. So Usha Vance and Doug Emhoff spoke for about 40 minutes last week. I wonder if he hit on her or threatened her. Because, what is Doug Emhoff is famous for 2 things, right? Knocking up the maid, the housekeeper, at his last marriage house, And it's funny, the Democrats just never came up yesterday in the hearing that's amazing stuff. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. You're a Democrat Party. So they spoke on the phone. Spokespeople for Vance and Harris declined to comment, except they have multiple anonymous sources, but they declined to comment, the spokespeople did. So it's all a lie. They're lying all over the place. People close to Harris say she was never afforded an opportunity to visit the home before she was sworn in 2021. However, she took office during the COVID-19 outbreak, just after the Capitol riot. Yeah, and everybody took office after months and months and months of Democrat riots all over the place, including Washington, where the president had to be evacuated from the White House. But never mind all that. Wah, wah, wah. And Donald Trump had refused to admit that he was defeated in the election. This is CBS News doing the Democrat Party's work for him. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh, man. Advisors to then Vice President Mike Pence dispute that an invitation was never offered. I guarantee you Mike Pence and Karen Pence offered an invitation because it's custom, it's tradition. And Mike Pence and Karen Pence, very traditional, very decent Indiana people, Midwesterners. They invited them over if they say they invited them over. Amazing. Yes, sir. Yeah. They say that he quietly gave Harris and Emhoff a chance to visit in the waning days of the Trump administration. The invitation came discreetly. I got it. This is all political stuff. The CBS News story is so political. But in any case, they don't deny that Kamala Harris, and she's claiming to be bitter. Well, I wasn't invited. And the Pences say that's not true. I'm going to take the Pence's word for it because they're not lion sacks of Jewia, All right, now let's get back to yesterday's hearing, the Pete Hegseth hearing, because now we have Mazie Hirono. Michael, do we have Mazie Hirono? Because I don't want to, Mazie Hirono, because that Tammy Duckworth, she was doing her best Mazie Hirono impersonation in the last hour. But here's Mazie Hirono, the Democrat from Hawaii. Hawaii. You call it Hawaii or Hawaii? It's Hawaii. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's go to Mazie Hirono. And she's going off on Pete Hegseth because she doesn't like masculinity. She doesn't like manliness. She doesn't like Republicans. She doesn't like America. She's Mazie Hirono. She's the Democrat senator from Hawaii yesterday at the confirmation hearing for Pete Hegseth, where he did great and Mazie Hirono did terribly.
In June of 2020, then President Trump directed former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper to shoot protesters in the legs in downtown D.C., an order Secretary Esper refused to comply with. Would you carry out such an order from President Trump?
Senator, I was in the Washington, D.C. National Guard unit that was in Lafayette Square during those events.
Would you carry out an order to shoot protesters in the legs?
I saw 50 Secret Service agents get injured by rioters trying to jump over the fence, set the church on fire, and destroy a statue.
That sounds to me that you will comply with such an order. You will shoot protesters in the leg.
Well, yes, but only in the leg. Because that's what Joe Biden told us to. Joe Biden gave us instructions on this. And by the way, Pete Hegseth's little update, there were 160 to 180 police injured by the rioters in Lafayette Park, Lafayette Square, when they set fire to the Church of the Presidents, the historic St. John's Church. The Democrats tried to burn to the ground. They brought M80s, which are an eighth of a stick of dynamite, and threw them at the police all over the place. And at least 160 and perhaps 180 police officers were injured in those riots. Now, while Pete was there, perhaps, not for the entire riot, which went on for days, and the Democrats are fine with all that. They're just great with that. The D.C. government, they're fine with that. They got their $1.5 million reviewing stand because they're like the Soviet Union. They are. So you remember Joe Biden instructed the police, hey, if somebody's shooting at you or running at you with a knife, you should just shoot him in the leg.
Teaching a cop when there's an unarmed person coming at him with a knife or something to shoot him in the leg instead of in the heart is a very different thing.
Yeah, because an unarmed person is running at you with a knife. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Joe Biden has been severely brain damaged for a great many years and never should have been president of the United States. Never should have been vice president of the United States. Barack Obama did more to damage this country. His legacy, Barack Obama's legacy of racial division and hostility and on, just amazing. These guys, can I just say, these guys. Yeah, so there is, would you order U.S. troops to shoot protesters in the leg? Why in the leg? What are you telling? Come on, Kent State. Womp, womp, womp. We've got more of these nitwits coming up, these dim-wits. They're dim of wit at best. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier is now available to you and to all of us. It builds on the incredible success of the previous generations of Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifiers, and they earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. Became an instant bestseller. And this new Thunderstorm, we've got one at home, uses two technologies that studies have shown help to kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air. Also removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and a whole lot more from the air. Helps get rid of any odor at the same time. Also, no filters to have to buy and replace over and over again. What an annoyance. You know, the thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash cans, stinky shoes, your teenager's bedroom, left-wing protesters. No match for the Eden Pure thunderstorm. Any smell will disappear in seconds. And right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. Or you can bring one to the office or make one a gift. Put one in your basement, your bedroom, your family, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Eden Pure thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, we've got more of this wacky hearing coming up. And we're watching the hearing ongoing on Capitol Hill as well for Attorney General for you. And it's Mailbag Day. Mailbag. It's because, it's Wednesday. It's Hump Day. Well, not here. Here it's Mailbag Day.
Instead of anybody coming at you, the first thing you do is shoot to kill. You shoot them in the leg.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, I've got a great story about Trump annexing Canada coming up. The Babylon Bee headline. It's a Canadian flag that's a rainbow design. Trump announces plan to annex Canada and rename it Gay North Dakota. Gay North Dakota. Let's go back to the telephones. I don't think that'll actually happen, but you never know. Let's go to Marco calling from Springfield, Virginia. Marco, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Vince. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, there's a rumor out there saying that Kakala and Slugger are planning to buy a townhouse in New York City. And I think the strategy there might just be like Hillary Clinton played, where one of those aging senators is going to retire, and she's going to run for senator of New York. And unfortunately, the way New Yorkers vote, she'll get the Senate seat. And then there's the Ghana connection right here in Loudoun County. Phyllis Randall took her entourage to Ghana. So what is this Ghana connection that Bass and Randall and people like that have? I think that needs to be looked into. How many American dollars are going to a country that has no business doing business with us?
Maybe it's the new Ukraine. Maybe it's, another, the Democrats latch onto countries and they milk them till they're dry and they move to mansions on islands and fly private forever. I think Kamala wants to be governor of California and ruin it the rest of the way because Gavin Newsom can only do so much.
Then President Trump directed former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper to shoot protesters in the legs in downtown D.C., an order Secretary Esper refused to comply with. Would you carry out such an order from President Trump?
Oh, you betcha. You kidding? I'd say no. Hell, go for center mass, chest shots. Kill them all. Let's do that whole Kent State thing, but on a larger scale.
You know what? That sounds to me that you will comply with such an order. You will shoot protesters in the leg.
In the leg. Well, Joe Biden told us that the police should shoot people in the legs. We're just following Joe Biden's suggestions, aren't we? Because Joe told us repeatedly, more than once, that the police should shoot people in the. If an unarmed man is attacking you with a knife, that's what Joe Biden said. They don't know what these words mean, do they? Then you should shoot him in the leg.
Teaching a cop when there's an unarmed person coming at him with a knife or something to shoot him in the leg instead of in the heart.
Yeah, unarmed person coming at him with a knife. These guys. And here's the headline from the Washington Post. Pete Hegseth seems open to ordering soldiers to shoot protesters. That's the headline. Our news media is filth, just absolute filth. A disgrace. Amazing stuff. They like it, though. They're having a good time. That's the actual Washington Post headline. Pete Hegseth seems open to ordering soldiers to shoot protesters. That's it. Wow, these guys are really... See, the extremists here, the radicals here, are the Democrats and the news media. They stage this phony stuff during the confirmation hearing, knowing that their bootlicks and the news media are going to do ridiculous things and propagandize and spread misinformation and disinformation, which Hillary Clinton informed us might lead to prison sentences if she were in charge, because that's what Hillary Clinton told us, that if you're spreading misinformation, disinformation, could be civil legal liability or criminal legal liability where you'd end up in prison for spreading misinformation, which is what this column in the Washington Post does. I think Jeff Bezos, pre-dawn raid at one of his many mansions, maybe have to pull him off of his airliner to throw him in prison for spreading misinformation and disinformation and fulfill Hillary Clinton's dream of jailing people for speech, because they're not Democrats. They're not democratic. They're leftists, and they're fascists.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Yeah, be a better deterrent if you put people in prison for speech. You fascist pig, you Schweinhund. It's kind of insulting to pigs and dogs, both. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Just extraordinary. You're a Democrat Party. All right, we have one more Mazie Hirono. The Democrats, they're not on our side. The Democratic Party isn't. Oh, and there's one who said it. Somebody at the hearing yesterday said it like common sense, to make common sense common again. Hopefully we'll get to that, but not right now. Let's get to Mazie Hirono. Let's go to number 9. Number 9? Numero 9, as the Democrats like to say, and as the firefighters in California like to say. Amazing. Mazie Hirono, would you shoot protesters? And he's like, well, no, but the headline, misinformation, disinformation, it's prison, according to Hillary Clinton, for spreading this stuff. Pete Hegseth seems open to ordering soldiers to shoot protesters. They're all on the job, too, the whole gang of them, the news media. Honestly, we're going to need a prison the size of Vermont just for the misinformation, just for the news media, don't you think? Gulag. It's Gulag-style stuff. So here's Mazie Hirono. Nobody's ever accused her of being bright. Isn't that amazing? She's the one who asked, would you shoot protesters? Maybe in the leg. Based on Joe Biden's thing. And if you take Joe Biden's advice and guidance, then police are shooting people in the leg all over the place. And remarkable. Take Hillary's advice, you're putting people in prison for spreading misinformation and disinformation, which is the job of the news media. Isn't that amazing? Mazie Hirono, Democrat, they have fertile imaginations, if not wombs.
Would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Or an ally
Senator,
of Denmark.
one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland and take over the Panama Canal.
And take over the Panama Canal. Are they an ally of Denmark? Because where's the headline saying Pete Hegseth seems inclined to take over Greenland with the U.S. military and the Panama Canal, too, because Mazie Hirono said so. Isn't that amazing? Just great. Womp, womp, womp. Mazie Hirono, 77 years old. She, I don't think she has any children because her imagination is fertile. Isn't that amazing? So other dumb Democrats, there's a dumb Democrat senator that nobody's ever heard of. She's never appeared in public before. Elissa Slotkin, whoever voted her in, I think she was just reelected too. Democrat from Michigan. And they love this whole thing about Trump is Hitler. It's the Trump is Hitler narrative. And the U.S. military is going to be turned against the American people. Now, I remember when Joe Biden was inaugurated, the U.S. troops occupied Washington, D.C., military vehicles, machine guns, troops everywhere. Democrats were sending them pizzas with broken shards of glass in them. Remember this? Democrats had the National Guard troops staying in parking garages, and when they ordered pizzas, they came with broken glass in them because the left is here. They're not liberals. So here is Elise Slotkin. She's a Democrat senator from Michigan.
Have you been personally involved in discussions of using the U.S. military active duty inside the United States?
Heck yeah.
Senator, I'm fine. I'm glad we finally got to the topic of border security equaling national security because it's been abdicated and ignored. I have been involved in conversations relating
She's confused.
Doing things this administration has not, which is secure the southern border.
Which is, that's not what she was talking about, of course. But he turned it on her, and she was just befuddled and confused, demonstrated the fact that she's not very bright, didn't know what to do. Senator Tim Kaine is a radical leftist. He was Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton's running mate, and he was going to be the second gentleman. Just kidding. He was going to be vice president if Hillary Clinton had won, which she didn't. I'm signing the cross. Was it the Jerusalem cross? Because that's an extremist thing, you know. Here's Senator Tim Kaine. He wanted to be vice president with Hillary Clinton, and just really a big supporter of Bill Clinton too, big supporter who's of course been credibly accused of rape repeatedly and sexual assault and sexual harassment, and Juanita Broderick and Paula Jones, and we'll leave Monica Lewinsky out of it for now. Although I've met all three of those women and more. Here's Senator Tim Kaine yesterday. He's an oath keeper, I think.
You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
In final life,
he is on his third wife, Pete Hegseth, and so you've taken an oath, right? I think Bill Clinton is. You might have said the same oath that Bill Clinton took, weren't you, Hillary Clinton's running mate? You could be contentious, but Pete Hegseth was very calm, cool, and collected once again. Very even-keeled yesterday, very much so. Tim Kaine, listen, again, one of Bill Clinton's biggest offenders and Hillary Clinton's running mate.
Completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared?
Senator,
how is that a complete clear?
Senator, her child's name is Gwendolyn Hope Hegseth, and she's a child of God, and she's 7 years old.
And she was, and you cheated on the mother of that child less than 2 months after that daughter was born, didn't you?
Those were false charges.
Well,
it was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared.
But you can slander and smear all you'd like, and then you can, go over to Bill Clinton's house and mow his lawn for him, and you profound hypocrite. And but there's a good rejoinder to this from Mark Wayne Mullen coming up, a Republican senator. Tim Kaine going, no sense of irony, these people.
One of your colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted, "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took co-workers to a strip club. You were drunk. You tried to dance with strippers. You had to be held off the stage. And one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you denied these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous.
They're not anonymous. They're false, but they're not. He didn't contend that they were true. They're not anonymous. They're not. I think my answer to that might have been, I wouldn't say chanted. They don't say, I wouldn't say chanted. And then just move on from there. Now, there is a fun senator from Oklahoma by the name of Mark Wayne Mullen. I met Mark Wayne Mullen. I had him on my television show on the Newsmax channel Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Join us there. But Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma is a fun guy. He's had 3 MMA fights, mixed martial arts fights, professional fights. He won them all. And he bench presses more than 400 pounds, So, I know that Tim Kaine doesn't want to fight him. Mark Wayne Mullen.
The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes.
Well, some more than others, perhaps, but yeah, sure. And for Democrats, again, where's Anthony Weiner? Who's Hummo Weiner with now? Oh yeah, Alex Soros. And the Clinton. Where's Lolita One? How many of you have been to Jeffrey Epstein Island? You bunch of, are you kidding me? Shall we really get into this? Because Mark Wayne Mullen.
I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too.
And not in prison.
I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But I found somebody that thought I was perfect. And for whatever reason, you love Pete, and I don't know why. But just like our Lord and Savior forgave me, my wife's had to forgive me more than once too, and I'm sure you've had to forgive him too. And so thank you.
And so thank you. I personally, Chris Plant, I'm not perfect either, but I'm pretty damn close. I got to say, it's almost amazing. It really is. Just ask anybody, really. Amazing. Now there was a fun moment. It was if I were there would be things to say about me, certainly, but not a lot, I think, not a lot. All right, let's go to this, because this was funny. Montana Senator Republican Tim Sheehy, he was funny. There was a good moment because, hey, you're going to be taking over the Pentagon. Let's get some of the basic stuff down, shall we? Here's fun, having a good time. Montana Republican Senator, of course, Tim Sheehy.
Pete, I'm actually going to ask you questions because I want to hear your answer. How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are 2 genders.
I know that well. I'm a Sheehy, so I'm on board.
Now, what was that exactly? See, I'm going to confess, when I saw that in real time, I thought, why is that and it took me a minute. Sheehy. His name is Sheehy. See, right? Like 2 genders, and not so bad. Here's she and a he. Those are the 2 genders. There might be some Democrats listening. Senator Tim Sheehy.
What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30.
And the standard issue sidearm for American military officer, 9mm. And what was the other one? It was good stuff. I aced that quiz. That was, I think most of us probably did. Not terribly difficult. Hey, it is also Mailbag Day. I have mailbag questions right here in my hand, and we remain at 888-630-9625.
Isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous.
yes, let's go to a telephone call, and after the top of the hour, mailbag day. Mailbag. Let's go to Richard, calling from Manassas, Virginia. Richard, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Pete could have just answered her directly and just said, Posse Comitatus does not allow for, the military to be used in a law enforcement capacity. I wasn't in the room with either Secretary Esper or President Trump, so I don't know their state of mind. But I would assume that they would just a fit of pique and would not, execute such an order. And then go into saying, but on that day I was in Lafayette Square and yada, yada, yada. But knowing that they're just going to twist whatever he says into some kind of headline like Washington Post did.
Right, like the Washington Post did, the most corrupt institution in America. Why did the Washington Post lose $77 million last year? Why are they laying off people right now, last week and this week, wholesale? It's because of headlines like this. It's because they can't be trusted to do their job, and it should be a very important job. Our constitutional republic cannot function properly as long as the Fourth Estate has been corrupted on behalf of one political party. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Now, Richard, thank you for that. And I'm with you. And I see someone else on the board I'd like to get to also. Let's go to Nick, calling from Purcellville, Virginia. Nick, don't have a ton of time, but I saw your comment on the board, so I wanted to come to you.
Well, Chris, if I was asked that question, if I was Pete Hegseth asked that question about shooting protesters in the leg, I would say, no, I would use the template. Let's not talk about any hypotheticals. We'll use the template that the Capitol Capitol Police did when they shot Ashley Babbitt. I don't think she got shot in the leg, and she was a protester.
You're 100% right about that. Who may have been accused of trespassing, but she got the death penalty, was shot and killed by Lieutenant Byrd, who was rewarded by the Democrats on Capitol Hill. He got a promotion, he got an award, he got a medal for shooting and killing at point-blank range. Ashley Babbitt, a young woman who spent 12 years serving proudly in the United States Air Force and was petitioning her government and peacefully protesting, and she was shot and killed. Yeah, maybe throw that in their faces too. Yeah, Richard and Nick with great responses, wonderful responses. But I got to say, Pete Hegseth did a great job yesterday.